One of you guys want to do the intro this time?
Sure.
Don't just hog it all the time.
You know, I did an intro on the last episode. You will do them always monsters. Take us away.
Just do it with your mouth full. It's fine. Just be like, no, hey.
I mean, awful. I can't do that.
So what I just said was, welcome back, Old Grumblers podcast, episode 21, the Omens of Destruction, and also the last episode of the year, because it's the 19th. We're not doing another one of these. So today we're just going to talk a bit.
I thought we were going to do a New Year's one, with like the highlights of the year and stuff like that.
When?
Basically just a clip show, isn't it?
Not a clip show. We'll just do a clip show where like we misremember things, like It's Always Sunny.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the best clip show ever, though. Like we're doing this, like, remember we did this, and people are like, no, that never happened.
Anyway, today it's like the DLC's out. What do people think of it? What do we think of it? You know, the last episode was a bit more about the dev interview than the actual DLC. So
that was really fun as well. Really fun that we're getting like really good feedback on that one as well. Really fun, like reading all the comments, stuff like that. Only a couple of unhinged ones, like only 2 or something like that I read, which is like great. That's right, great feedback.
Yeah, well,
so that's great. You guys did so well on that. Well done.
You as well on after this discourse.
So we're definitely doing another one of those in future, both because we want to and because, not gonna lie, you send this good feedback to CA and they're like, yeah, sure, we'll do more. If everyone was just getting angry about it, they definitely wouldn't have. So thank you for that, because of you being okay, we're able to do more probably.
I actually forgot one question to him, and I asked in the sent a message later on, which I thought was pretty interesting, because I asked them, what is the process of prioritization for abilities and skills? What's the process to give someone more leadership aura? Because I think leadership aura is kind of useless. And basically, they all said that they look at the tabletop rules and lore first, then build a gameplay profile that matches those expectations. If someone is a famed leader or general, that might result in us giving something like leadership aura for skill or ability. And then I asked, do you have value for different things? Is it more of a theme? Like someone has like 5 DKP worth of skills, or is it more what you think is needed? And it's just different designs and different interpretations, so no hard answer. Just bonus question from the last time. I want to get that one out of the way.
Yes.
Which was a good one, because this means that they have no like rhyme or reason to balancing. It's just it's vibes.
Leadership aura is so bad. It's just so useless. And when I saw Combat's Lord effects, I was just like, God damn, that is so trash.
This is already going off on a tangent, but I do think, and I was mulling this over, that there's quite a lot of problems with sort of like the base level, how Total War works. And personally, I think a lot of it comes down to replenishment. I think replenishment might be the problem with Total War.
Too strong or too weak?
Because I just think they should, as much as I love the fact that I don't have to worry about, because I hate admin, right? So not having to recruit more units and like pile them into these armies to keep them going. The problem is that because you can fight a battle, take catastrophic losses, and then be like, I'm fine in a couple of turns, means there's no point for recruitment cost reduction, because the only time you recruit units is when you want to get rid of some and replace them. Because you never really lose them unless it's a demon, undead, or unbreakable unit, which is why those stats are terrible, because if a unit disintegrates, it's worse inherently than just being able to replenish, because it'll take longer. And it makes a whole bunch of other things like leadership and stuff completely useless. So I think there's like a whole issue with the balancing in Total War Warhammer. I know it's going to be difficult because you've got monstrous infantry, you've got factions that rely on firing missiles compared to fighting in melee, and that's going to be a nightmare to balance. But I hope in going forward, there's a bit more thought about how are we actually going to sort of deal with this. I think replenishment is way too strong at the moment. I think it should be either removed or toned right down.
I can get behind that. Honestly, I think it should be like harsher attritions for things. Like I've been a proponent for saying like they should be military supplies. It should be winter seasons. You should have like a ebb and flow of the wars as well, like planning. So there's at some point everyone goes on defensive. Sometimes only the defender goes on defensive, etc., etc. But you guys know what? We only have an hour for this.
Yeah.
So,
so what do we think of the DLC?
I'm just looking at some of the reviews. All 3 of the DLCs are mixed, and that is about what I expected. I said in my review, this DLC is like just completely, it's fine. It's not great. It's not awful. It's fine.
Yeah, I would 100% get behind that. It's very, great. It's more Total War like.
I would agree with Steam reviews for a lot of it. It's nice to have like a week to mull it over as well, so we're not like just rushing out the reviews for this discussion as well. I don't know, you damners make the reviews really quickly, but it's nice for me to like mull it over and like do that, because as a streamer I only like start playing them when I'm allowed to start streaming them. But I really think like it's a 6 out of 10 really. It's they're fine. 6 out of like 5 is baseline. That's like okay. That's acceptable.
Yeah, we're not talking IGN where like every Assassin's Creed game gets a 7. No.
Yeah, 5 is acceptable. 6 is better than acceptable. 7 would be really good. It just goes on. And 10 is like as not perfect, but as good as you can expect anything to be.
I'll go further and say 5 is like, this is absolutely fine.
I feel nothing.
That's middle of the road. I always hate it when you have to give us a 10, otherwise that's bad. It's like, no, 5. 5 is like, you've done your job. This is absolutely adequate for what I expected. And anything more than that, it's like 10 is like, well, this has changed my life. I'm naming my firstborn after whatever this is. That's that kind of level. Whereas I'd say this is, I would say this is about a 6. Kind of like, yeah, I like it. It's more Total War. Like, I can't go wrong with it. I love the game. I complain about it a lot, but I still love it. And this is just more of that. It's like asking for an extra refill of a fairly adequate coffee. Yeah, great. I'll have more, thanks.
Yeah, I've also like really narrowed down what I don't like about it. It's the last DLC had such good narrative thematics, and narrative is something that people that I've argued with my chat about, like the terminology of narrative, right? Because narrative is just what you're gonna do in the campaign. And the last one had really good narrative thematics, because it was just, as Malachi, you never were really wondering what you were going to do. You pick like a quest, you start doing that, you travel the world a little bit, you do a little empire, you do cannons, you have slayers, and you're going to have really strong stuff that you're going to want to use. Like, that's how it is. Ubu Tatmurchan, he's going to travel all the way to Null, do his chieftain battles. Like, that's what he's supposed to do. Elsef, she's going to save the Empire. She can teleport around in the Empire after she's built stuff. She's going to make the college, like save the Empire. Like, that's plain and simple what you're going to do. This one doesn't have any of this. This one is literally like race Lucianok by 60 settlements, all of them. Like, Maneater, he doesn't have any, like, he just goes around making money, and it's like, all right, but why?
Find another army that can't teleport.
Because they're gonna change now on Friday. This is recorded before this, where it's gonna be fixed so that if you gift a client a city, that's going to be counted for the victory conditions. Because we talked about that earlier as well. That if you gift them, it doesn't actually count for that. So you can't really like even do this. And like it's just weird, but Khorne is something that I've really been stumped on as well. Like, what kind of thematics could you do with that? And the only thing I could think about is like make a skull road.
Yeah, I agree. I think out of the, I haven't played Arbol, so I can't speak for him. But out of the 3 lords of the DLC, I do think that both Golgfag and Skulltaker have got very powerful mechanics, but it does feel a bit aimless a lot of the time. Like, you don't really feel like driven to actually do anything. Particularly with Golgfag, where, as you say, you have all this money, but you've only got... And I like the fact you can teleport, but because it's only the one army, if you go, you know what, I'm going to do something fun and go to Cathay, the rest of your armies are going to take 8 turns to... probably more like 18 turns to get over there. At which point you've probably like, well, I've done this now. I'm going to go somewhere else. So it's almost, you get to a point where you go, well, why have more than one army? I may as well just have the one army and just teleport him around. I can technically teleport the camps, but any additional army is sort of like, why care?
Yeah.
So you sort of end up with this sort of just one army, and so much money, which is technically accurate for the character, but isn't particularly interesting for the player.
Yeah, he's fun, but I feel like his fun caps out pretty quick because you're just like, well, I have the best army. I have multiple camps, so I can place them whenever I want. What do I do now? Like, there's no aim to it. And I've just been looking at the reviews on all 3 DLCs. There are people complaining that it's just an Immortal Empire. So people still clearly want some sort of narrative or some sort of like direction to put them in. And that is the consequence of moving it to Immortal Empires and just being like, well, just do what you want. It's a sandbox. So it's not just us, folks. There's 3 other people. There are 6 of us. I've seen them.
I mean, it's really been going from like, yeah, I really liked Golg the most, and then Skulltaker, and then Gorbad, to like now I'm kind of vibing more with Gorbad instead.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like Gorbad is a cool campaign, but like the tactics are clearly undercooked and clearly like don't do anything. So it's just a greenskin campaign. I play them like almost without the tactics completely. Maybe I'll get to like the squiggy ones because the rest of them are just convoluted and like doesn't do it as much as you would want him to anyway.
There are definitely some that are like, yeah, this is really good. Like I did manage to turn Gorbad's Boar Boys into absolute wrecking balls. Like where you would charge in. I had there's one point where this army of skeletons and zombies were like marching up this hill, and I had this 3 units of Boar Boys, and I just charged into them, and they didn't stop. You just saw this tidal wave of undead like come towards you because the Boar Boys were so tricked up they literally couldn't be stopped. So they just charged down this hill, and you saw this tidal wave of skeletons undead like going over there, and it just wiped out like 7 or 8 units in one charge, which is very satisfying. But that's because there were certain tactics I was like, this one's good, this one's good, this one's good, the rest of them are dog shit. And even some of the good ones are like, well, I guess I'll recruit the 3 Spider Rider units for Skarsnik so we can have the 50% extra ambush, but I don't really care about the Spider Riders. They're there literally to slot the tactic. Otherwise, just stay out the fuck out of my way. Thank you very much. And I'm like, well, but surely you should have a tactic that goes, right now Spider Riders are good. This is great. You know, I should be excited about this instead of going, okay, I've got the ambush. Go away now. Thank you very much. It just doesn't feel very good.
I think
I never tried whether you could remove the units from the army afterwards.
I think it really highlights how bad of an understanding Total War players have of tactics as well, because it's like I was playing Belagar the last couple of days, and you know you do little draw and box, and I talk about like, oh, you try to use the terrain so you like can't be charged from that side, just use terrain a little bit, like this rock over here, and people are like, oh no, that's cheese. I was like, no, this is tactics. Tactics isn't just when you like give more numbers to one thing. That's not a tactic, that's logistics.
Looking at the Battle of Thermopylae going, that's cheese. They should not be allowed to use that pass to stop.
Choke point battle. This is bullshit.
Like, if we really want to go into it, like tactics should be like way more stuff. I understand like giving bonuses to stuff. That's always fun. But like if you really want to have tactics, you have to do a little bit more. Like you could even have little siege towers that you could build like in the middle of battle, for example, in an ambush battle, for example. You just like have siege towers as well, like towers. Like in the defensive element, right, in the ambush battle and stuff like that. I don't know, but you know, some form of tactic or scheme or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, there's particularly one I think that stands out above all of Gorbad's tactics, which is Heavy Metal Marching, which is the Black Orc one, which increases Black Orc's armor by 25 and makes them cause fear.
Jeez.
And that's a tier 3 tactic, and it's so dull that I can the only way I can rationalize this in my brain is that it was a placeholder and they forgot to update it.
I mean, numbers go up is usually how CA do a lot of things, unfortunately, which is sad. But I mean, I still think Gorbad is like an interesting campaign because the rest of them you become kind of aimless in. But in Gorbad, you're still like kind of fighting a lot of stuff for a long time. Like Queek just doesn't give up, and then Skarbrand joins in, and Queek and like Thorgrim and everyone.
Yeah, I did enjoy Gorbad, but I do think, yeah, you're right. The tactics weren't a bad idea, but it just didn't hit right for me personally.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise it's just Skulltaker and covering the entire world in goddamn blood hosts. Jesus Christ.
I've not finished my campaign with Skulltaker yet, but I am rushing for every time he kills a lord, he spawns a blood host, which I'm just, well, that's going to be insane. You're going to have so many armies. You can literally drown the world in blood armies, which is perfect.
somebody had 770 armies on
Jesus
turn 90 or
Christ.
something. So they've taken over the entire world with that. So it's crazy. Like, and then you also have the one that heals all of them. So every time you defeat a lord as well.
You must have been getting like 2 frames if you've got 770 armies on the map.
Nah, campaign map is probably fine. Or maybe I don't actually know. 700 is pretty quite a loss.
That's like more than the number of settlements on the map, isn't it? Or is it like 1,000? Are we up there yet?
No, I think it's like 750 maybe. I have to check it out.
So you could attack every settlement on the map with one army at the same time.
It's a lot of siege battles to play, though.
Yeah, with that amount, you just auto solve it and just with like 4 at a time.
Imagine moving that many armies. I would not. No. I get like 5 armies and I have to give them orders every turn. No.
554. Oh, this is a little while ago. January 24th, 2023. Then it was 554. But I think they haven't added that many though. So it's like,
I think they've only added the ones in the south of Cathay.
Yeah, so 560 then. 560-ish. I'll say ish as
so
to cover a
1.5
basis.
armies per settlement.
That seems fine. You could auto-resolve that, couldn't you? Auto-resolve the entire map to... I mean, to get the Blood Host, you'd already have to probably have trashed a load of cities anyway, so you probably got like 3 or 4 armies per settlement at that point.
Yeah, probably.
So that seems quite extreme. I did like the Skull Taker mechanic. Like, I like his... It's very reminiscent of Teehee's mechanic, where he's got like the little pyramid type thing. The difference being that Skull Takers is good, which is an important but subtle differentiation. But it wasn't super exciting. I guess it did make me want to hunt down enemy lords, which was kind of the
but don't you
reason for it.
Don't you kind of do that anyway? At least like in the local area, like you see a really powerful lord, you're playing con, you're probably going to end up fighting them because everyone hates you.
Yeah, but I will say that at one point I like had a military alliance with Rakarth or whatever, and then I happened to be down near him, and I looked across at his settlement. He was doing the thing the AI does, where he blobs around his settlement, and there was quite a few lords there with some very nice looking red skulls, and I decided, you know what, military alliances were kind of transient anyway, so may as well go and collect them, which I felt did make me feel a lot more like caught. It's basically like, oh look, lots of heads, let's go and get those. Oh, military alliance, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I think they advertised this mechanic, at least to me, a bit poorly. They said like, oh, well, you'll go out and seek specific skulls, but in reality, it's just you fight lords and upgrade the skulls. I kind of wish it was a bit more interactive, where it's like, oh, well, to upgrade this skull, you have to fight this faction, but I can understand why they didn't do that, because if all of those factions get wiped out nearby to you, then you just shit out luck and you can't do anything about it.
It might be nice had they sort of flagged up, almost made like a bounty system where they went, oh, okay, so for example, I don't know, Boris Todbringer is getting for this 50 turns only, he gets a 100% bonus the amount of red skulls he gets. Collect it now, and you can like go, okay, brilliant, I'm off, and go and grab that one. That might be, because that would force you to kind of go, well, guess we're going on a road trip, boys, and then off you go, and causing carnage along the way, which would potentially be a bit more interesting.
Instead, it just felt a bit like aimless. Like I just wander around Lustria being like, all right, who's got a lot of skulls? You? All right, I guess I'll go over there and fight you then. And then that's all it dictated. There wasn't really much beyond that.
Yeah. Good mechanics, though, with like going and doing some mercenary thing, but there's no clear goal in mind. It's kind of like a bad gang leader in Red Dead Redemption 2 or something, like Dutch without Tahiti.
I have a plan.
Yeah, I have a plan. We're just one more job, Arthur. Just one more job, and then you're like, well, we've done like 15 now. You have like 1 million in the camp treasury. He's like, one more, Arthur. Just keep on going, and then eventually it's just like, well, that was it. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the Mortal Empire's problem is that they have just kind of gone, well, it's a sandbox, so we'll just throw the factions in and, maybe plunk a few around just for faction variety reasons. But otherwise, who cares? And I feel like maybe I think this is why I'm so annoyed that the crises were so vanilla and dull, is it like feels like that could really create a drive for something. Like that, you're right. That people want a sort of a narrative, and you don't get that in Immortal Empires because it is such a sandbox. But there are, if they went, okay, there is the Skaven crisis. There's no reason why 50 turns before the crisis turns up, you couldn't have some things going on which kind of suggest that there's going to be a Skaven problem at some point. Put some story, boost maybe some Skaven factions over here, maybe some Skaven factions show up over here. It could like potentially try and create a bit of a narrative leading up to that big event. Whereas at the moment, it's kind of like the big event happens and you kind of go, oh, great, now I've got to grind through 50 stacks of the same army for the next 50 turns. Can I be asked to do that? Absolutely not.
Campaign, though, I really enjoy is Arbol. Arbol's fun.
Yeah. His is kind of similar to Skull Taker, where you just go around fighting big people, but there's a UI that says this is your specific big person, so you have some direction, even if it's just randomly selected. It's the illusion of direction.
Yeah, also like a lot of those get spawned like after mid game, so you just have like high elves instead with like Tyrion's emblem and stuff like that, but it's just a high elf faction, a new one. But what I learned from one of our modder friends in the community is that there's three different kinds of campaign goals. There's like culture, victory conditions. There's sub-faction. No, it's culture, subculture, and alignments-based stuff. So alignment-based, for example, is like race 60 settlements. And then most of them have also like a culture one, which is like Tyrion, for example, like to get Ultron or something. Then you have subcultures, which are more specific ones, like Imric, for example. But then I noticed that some of the dudes now only have like alignment based. They don't even have like added like 2 or something like that. They just have like alignment, which is like copy pasted victory condition. Race 60 settlements, which is just even worse.
Yeah, victory. I think the victory. I think people want a bit of narrative, not so you get railroaded, but enough to sort of just give it a little bit of spice. And the victory conditions are, I think, part of that because they do sort of drive you in a certain direction. And particularly if it's something like just destroy 60 settlements, I'm just like, I don't care about that. I finished a Skull Taker, a short victory campaign by accident. I wasn't even checking, to be honest, and it just so happened that I just did 60 settlements, 30 settlements. I was like, okay, cool, I don't care. But partly because the short victory can like upgrade something like 3 extra ranks on each recruited unit, which who gives a shit? I don't care about that.
Don't get the chainsaw now as well.
Oh, you do get the yeah, that's right. Yeah. I've completely forgotten about it. You do get the chainsaw with Skull Taker, which actually pretty neat.
Yeah, pretty cool actually. That's like that's pretty neat. It's like better than anything else you can get, but it's like oh, that's cool.
Because then at that point you're like, well, I don't need to do the quest battle for his sword anymore, so I won't bother with that.
Yeah, I think. We always talk about the victory conditions overall because it's just such a good mod. But the great thing about that is you can like start your campaign and be like, right, what do I want to do? And you look at the options of the 2 or 3 victory conditions. You think, you know what? Today is the Empire. I don't feel like uniting. I feel like just going and beating the shit out of chaos. And so you like go and talk to high elves and the dwarves and that, and you make your order tide, and then you're like, right, bring it on Archaon, and then you just go shit stomp him. You get to choose your direction, and then it gives you like a goal in mind. Whereas the pure sandbox, fair enough, you can make your own fun, but I don't know, it's just nice to have something to work towards and feel like you're progressing instead of just like, I'm going to rule the world in this campaign, and then 58 turns in, you're just like, well, what am I doing?
I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that while the battles are the main draw for Total War, once you've fought so many of them, it just does kind of turn into I can't be bothered with this anymore. It's, I'm fighting the same. I do remember a campaign where I was playing as Gorst, and I was up in the Chaos Waste, and I didn't want to take over the Chaos Waste because obviously it's uninhabitable. But Archaon was still up there, and Archaon did not give a shit. He was throwing everything. Every turn, I had this army up there with a Strigoi vampire and a bunch of zombies, and basically every turn, I had to fight effectively the same battle against a horde of chaos. And it literally every turn, 1 or 2 battles with this same fucking army, and it got to the point where I was so bored of fighting the same battle. I couldn't auto-resolve it because the auto-resolve was terrible for zombies, but I could win them in fight. So I had to grind through this every single, and I was just like, I was so bored of this.
Yeah, I mean, Vampire Camp's probably the worst order solve in the entire world. But Jesus Christ, I mean, shout outs to them never fixing the warband mechanic. So it's just the same stack of Marauders and maybe like a Chaos Warrior and Chaos Knights if you're unlucky. But you know who got management's classes this patch? Skarbrand. He took management classes. He's murdering down in the Badlands now, several campaigns in a row. Yeah, and he's like having real armies as well. It's not Marauder shit. It's like Chosen and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
so
I did notice that.
Yeah, management Skarbrand has become a meme in my stream now. He's like, Jeremy is taking 10% more skulls this quarter. All the way, Jeremy. Lifting him up. If I had 10 more Jeremys, if I had 10 more Jeremys, we would be at Ulton now.
Oh, bless it. It's nice to see Skarbrand doing well. He just kind of like dicked about in the Southlands for ages and then fizzled generally.
It's great that he's doing it. He's doing well. Happy for him, but I kind of wish he did get a little mechanic, just something. I know he makes the units better and he's slightly better with the Blood Host, but come on, give a little something.
It's nice now. He's in his place, content, moisturized. It's nice.
Definitely moisturized.
Okay.
The blood of elves is the best moisturizer in the world.
So what did you guys think about the splash attack bug then?
Oh, dang. Everyone was so mad about that. It's made an entire happy hype and stuff like that on the DLC, like the community usually goes through. Like it just shortened that one with from a week to a day or something.
Yeah. I've seen multiple reviews that are like, do not play the game. They fucking broke it again, for God's sake.
But kudos to them for fixing it on the Monday straight away.
Yeah,
they did fix it, which was great. I mean, I'm still very concerned how that slipped through.
I mean, I'm like, none of us noticed. No one with early access really noticed.
You're right. I totally agree with you. But on the other hand, we're not testers.
No,
I did see a few people going, "How did early access people not notice it?" And it's like, well, I did notice it. I just thought it was me being bad at playing ogres. But
yeah,
I was really struggling. If you watch my Gogfag stream, I was like, for every battle I fought was like by the very edge of my finger, and I was like, oh my god, why am I so bad at this game suddenly? I didn't and then when they said, oh, your monstrous infantry aren't attacking properly, I was like, oh yeah, no, that does explain a lot actually. That does explain why Golfag was desperately trying to fight a siege and his ogres couldn't kill their way through clan rats for some reason. And we're desperate. And I was like, I fought this siege like 6 times. I had to keep restarting it. I was like, I don't know what's wrong.
He's cheating.
I know. People are like, I never. The only time I ever restart a battle is usually because I've deployed and then I've forgotten that my wizard is like all the other way. I'm like, oh Christ, better restart. And this one, I came in, I was like, holy shit, I have to restart this 6 times. In the end, I couldn't win it, and I had to retreat.
Oh, after 6 times. If I fought about 6 times, that's to give up our 10 stream. Okay, guys, I'm done.
So many different ways. I've tried sneaking in, and every time my ogres are getting mobbed by clan rats and being ripped to pieces. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Am I just this bad? I mean, I always kind of suspected, but still. And then someone said, oh, there's this splash attack. I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. But we're not testers. We're not there to test the fucking game.
No, I had the same thing where I was like, dang, these blood beasts are shit. Like these things are really bad. These new things. So I just went with normal infantry and oh yeah, they're pretty decent.
I noticed the blood beasts were terrible, but on the other hand, it's not like monstrous infantry is. What are the vampire count guys?
Crypt Horrors.
No, the Vampire Coast. The guys.
Abominations.
Yeah, those guys. They are dog shit. Like they will do nothing. Yeah. So I just thought, oh, blood beasts are just like that. They're just terrible. It's fine.
I thought they were just like rat ogres. So I was like, oh yeah, they can punch through something, but after that they're just gonna die.
Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of went, oh, and then I played ogres and they were struggling, and I'm like, well, yeah, it does make sense. But my concern is the fact that if they implement this change. Surely, I mean, one, they know what they've done. So CA know they've made this change and what it should do and what the outcome of that change should be. Therefore, testing it should immediately show them that, oh, this is not working. Which means the only thing I can guess is that they just didn't bother testing it. Like, they just went, we'll just change these numbers. It'll be fine. off it goes out the door. Because otherwise they would have... Because people said, oh, well, you can see it, obviously, if you take a unit of Ogre Bulls and you use it as Skaven Slaves, throw them together, the Skaven Slaves will beat the Ogre Bulls, right? That should not happen. So the testing process is piece of piss, right? You can easily see that's not working. Why the fuck did that make it into the game?
Man, it's just with these games, I don't really have the energy anymore to be angry at bugs. I'm like 99 bugs on the wall. There are, take 1 house, 125 bugs on the wall there are still left or something.
You know what? I completely agree with you. And I'm not like angry. I'm more just like really confused because having worked as a software designer, I'd be like, if I did a change, I would test that. And I know they've got like QA and test, but it genuinely feels like they just didn't bother because it's such an obvious thing to see.
Instead of not bothering, I would probably assume it's probably just rushed because this DLC was very like, it felt like they were like, right, get it out before Christmas. Okay, everybody go home.
Yeah.
So they probably just ran out of time, which is just pretty standard.
Yeah, I don't guess how that took 8 months, same as like Thrones of Decay. But maybe Thrones of Decay had like they had like several teams of one, so they were working on for longer. Who knows?
My guess is they're probably working on the next big game, and that's where all the resources are at the moment. Because it does feel like this was.
I mean, it does definitely feel like there's like a DLC team at least, and then there's like the custodian team. Like custodian team, which is like what people always ask for, but actually it's just Mitch and a couple of dudes.
It's just the one guy.
Yeah.
I do get that.
It's the same guy that's still patching Heroes of the Storm. What a champ. It got a patch like a couple of weeks ago. Insane. Can't believe it. It's coming back any day now.
Any day.
It's coming back.
It's going to come on Steam and it'll have 10 trillion players.
Man, it's so... It's so funny
right,
with
they fixed it so quickly.
Yeah, I always laugh about Heroes of the Storm because it's like, we don't want to spend money on tournaments and stuff like that, and then the game dies a little bit, and Riot Games is sitting there like 250 millions for the cartoon.
I just don't brief. Obviously, complete tangent. It's just I've definitely said this before. It's just hilarious. I was like, right, Heroes of the Storm, casual. More team-based, just to be like an introductory to MOBAs. Anyone can play it. Let's make a league, invest way too much money in hyper-competitive play. Oh, wait. It didn't work because it's not a competitive game. And then they just did the same thing with Overwatch, but it's like clung on by a thread. Genius level intellect at Blizz, truly.
Blizzard have really just... They used to be this golden child of gaming that could do no wrong. And then ever since sort of Diablo 3, it's just been a slow. Wait, that was when they merged with Activision, isn't it?
Yeah, they became stock traded. It's exactly you can see exactly when the quality starts dipping.
Oh, when they
shout out to my boys at Paradox, we're the same.
When they start putting a share price over gameplay, wow, who'd have thought, guys? The games get worse.
I wonder if shareholders are actually the problem with the world.
No, it's the poor people.
Monsters. I mean, just check, for example, what happened just before Rome 2 happened at that disastrous launch. Have you ever checked what happened with CA before that?
No. What happened?
They got bought up by Sega. They got sold to Sega.
Ah, yes, of course.
And switched CEO.
God, I just hate this world. It sucks.
Oh shit, isn't it? It's like the worst possible timeline. Is why is all the bad shit happening? For fuck's sake, it's so obvious.
I mean, I'm just sitting here just waiting for the trend because believe everything is a pendulum, right? So everything is going to swing to the other side, and soon we'll see like Ubisoft probably going to go private next year, and they're just going to not have to care about stock anymore, and we'll see what happens then. Because I'm very excited to see what happens there. I know everybody's just like, "Oh, Ubisoft! You said Ubisoft! I'll staple your mouth, bitch!" But
they innovated once and then just never again. Maybe they can do it again. You don't know.
Why bother innovating? What's the point? Nothing good has ever come from innovation, in my opinion.
No.
Yeah, we'll see what happens to those. Hopefully they'll go private and they'll start a little trend or something like that. We'll see with was it Relic as well that also bought themselves free and are now like their own dudes. You always have investors, obviously. Like you always have someone sitting there and giving them money, but as long as it's not like stock traders, it's usually fine, I guess.
Yeah, the bubble is definitely gonna burst, especially with like all these Sony games that are hundreds of millions of dollars of development. Like that's just not, you can't sustain that.
I think Sony games will continue like they are, but they will be starting to be sold on PC almost immediately.
I mean,
because which game was it that like started selling so well on PC when they started doing all those, like Spider-Man and something else? And someone from Sony was like, "We're making so much money. It's like an entire audience that was already there just bought the stuff."
Yeah, you don't have to buy an additional £500 console.
Yeah, and they didn't have our console, and they still bought the game. So we're gonna do some charts. We're gonna try to figure this out, and we're gonna see how this happened. We have some analysts that we hired in, but we think more games are gonna come out on PC as well. Maybe, yeah, we'll see what the future holds, boys. This is crazy. It's like, it's
my heartfelt belief that pretty much everyone in a position of power has no fucking clue what they're doing, and is just winging it. And whenever they go, "Oh well, we need to pay the big money to the top people because otherwise, they won't know what they're doing." It's like, no, that you could literally put Doris from the canteen up there. She would probably do just as good a job, to be honest.
Yeah, what do the people at the top do other than collect a giant paycheck? Like, what does Phil Spencer do? What's his day look like?
I think I've talked about this a lot, but usually like CEOs will just get like a CEO from like one of the top universities who's someone's friend and stuff like that, and they're really good at like business. They just go in and just do what a business should do, which is like expand market and then just pick up prices when you can't expand it, like feasibly with 15% or something like that for the next quarter, and blah blah blah. And when you take that kind of like really harsh business sense into a creative business like games and movies, stuff like that, you get like this really like slop. This ghoulish goddamn slop that just gets resurrected for the next iteration and same stuff. So in the early 2000s, basically, I think I'll actually down the hill. That was like the golden age of gaming because that's when you got like all the like really weird shits all the time. Like early Xbox 360 era and stuff like that is just when people just went ham on every single bad idea there was, just to try out new things.
I mean, you still get some really good stuff these days, but it does tend to come from the smaller studios.
Yeah.
Stuff like, I was playing Cult of the Lamb again the other day, and I'm just like, this game is so good.
Yeah.
It feels so good to play. Either
of you two played Lorelei and the Laser Eyes?
No.
That is probably my game of the year. It's phenomenal. Do you like puzzles and having to take notes and being a giant nerd?
No. I can't read.
Never mind.
I'm a fucking idiot. I can't do that.
But it's so cool. It's by the Sayonara Wild Hearts people. They just like, they make games with such style. It's crazy.
It's Annapurna Interactive that publishes this. Annapurna Interactive is one of those publishers that just checks out like the weirdest shit they can find always.
I mean, you say that. I think they've been, like, most of the team has left because like management was given over to some billionaire's daughter or something. I can't remember the exact story.
Dang, something like that.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
That does look very cool, actually. I might stick that on my wish list.
It's super cool.
But Annapurna is one publisher I always used to check out because they're always like, well, it has to be kind of cute. How many pastels does it have? How many pastel colors? Checks out. We'll take it, boys.
Yeah, most of their catalog is just like small bangers.
So if I can just drag us back to DLC just for 1 second, just before we turn into a politics podcast, can I just talk shop a minute? How did you guys find like your videos and streams doing from the DLC? Did you see a jump?
Nah, not really. It was okay. People didn't really have that high for us. I've had like better viewership afterwards. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, before the DLC, I did a Demon Prince campaign, and the first video of that has currently got more views than the Gorbad campaign I did. Now, admittedly, it came up beforehand, so it's had plenty more time. But the fact that Gorbad didn't overcome that really quickly was a bit like, Oh, interesting. That suggests that actually people weren't that interested in the DLC.
Yeah. I got more views through sheer force of I put out more videos, but like normally when the DLC comes out, you're looking at like double your daily views. And this I got that on like one day, and then it was it like went back to normal within a week either side. It's just no change.
But I think it's really because of the narrative. There's no like fun stuff about it. Like Gorbad is just Grimgor's old campaign with like number modifiers. Because you just start exactly there and fight like the exact same army at the exact same direction. So well, maybe not the exact same army. I can't remember his army, but it's very similar. And it's just like, man, the rest of them is just. Have you seen one battle? You've seen basically the rest of the campaign. There's nothing that's gonna change or anything like that. Like the other campaigns, you had stuff happening because you actually, took big land, like big stretches of territory, and you would have like cool stuff happening. But I mean, Lustria is always just like a chaos minefield anyway. Like anything can happen there. So people are just like, oh yeah, Lustria. What are you fighting there then? Oh yeah, one of those things. Yeah, okay.
I was quite pleased to see the start of the re-emergence of the Lustrian knife fight, where all the legendary lords basically start within a turn's walk of each other and immediately start kicking the shit out of it. I was pleased to see that adding Skulltaker there has definitely increased the pressure down there, which I like.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've had a good Lustria bowl.
Yeah.
The old Royal Rumble.
Exactly. I was looking for that. But yeah, otherwise it's been kind of like there was definitely a bump, but I think that might be because I just put more videos out and then it's just immediately back down to like, it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess.
It's pretty much just the exact same way as the DLC has been received. It's like, oh, okay. Anyway.
I guess the problem is, unlike something like Chaos Dwarves, which adds something to the game, this feels just, as you say, basically they've just given you Grimgor back in his start position with a new mechanic. And Skulltaker is in Lustria now, which is nice, and Golfag is sort of, I mean, I don't think I've seen him in any other campaign. He must die very early just from being an ogre faction, because I just don't see him. Whether he even spawns in the same place, I don't know, but I've not seen him. So it doesn't really change the map in any way, whereas like adding the Chaos Dwarf, suddenly you've got an entire new faction to interact with, and you just don't have that now. So I think until they add something big like Ind or Koresh, I don't think we're going to see a big boost in...
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at the Steam charts. There is like... I mean, it like doubled for like 4 days, and then he's already coming back down.
Yeah, but that's because the splash bug. People either people didn't notice it, know about it, but they did notice it and didn't think it was fun, or they knew about it and the hype was ruined. So either way, that one isn't great.
Last DLC was May, wasn't it? So that's.
But I'm still gonna die on the hill that if they make a Vampire Counts 4-way DLC with the End Times Nagash, that is gonna be like printing money.
Oh yeah,
like
that Nagash mod is so good, and it's like just a mod. That officially with hopefully deep mechanics, that'd be pretty cool.
I would be amazing if Neferata wasn't going to be in the next DLC pack.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they do a Neferata cool with influence and stuff like that, and not like tactics or some stupid shit like that.
I feel like Neferata should definitely be a faction where you kind of have a small empire, but you have sort of like Undercity type settlements which you can put to influence.
Yeah, that and vassalization.
Yeah, the mod just gives the Slaanesh vassalization mechanic, and it works exceptionally well.
Yeah, together with the High Elves influence.
Yeah.
Because
I'd like to see like Undercity buildings in there which suggest that you've got, groups of vampires in that settlement, which are then influencing the settlement for your benefit or something like that.
That would be
work quite well.
Incredible. What was your favorite unit from this DLC though?
I quite like the spider with the catapult. That's it.
That's pretty nice.
I don't think I got around to trying that one actually, because I'd started my Gorbad campaign on the test version. And then, of course, they went, "Oh yeah, no, you can't use that anymore." And now I think it's been taken away. So, yeah, I had to end that campaign, unfortunately. But I tell you what, I didn't really notice any particular. I quite like the mangler squigs, but I don't know what they were for. Like, I liked the vibe, but I genuinely wouldn't be able to tell you what they were actually supposed to do.
Yeah, they look like a Looney
They
Tune.
chew through infantry, right?
Maybe? I don't know. I kind of felt like maybe they were chariots, but they weren't really chariots. And then they kind of... I genuinely have no idea what they did, to be honest. But they looked cool, so I was kind of like, well, that seems fine.
Well, what about you, Fred?
I really like the Wrathmongers. What was that one they called? The highest level one?
Oh, yeah.
They're just... I don't know. I see them as like, crazy dudes. Just standing there on magical steroids, just swinging like axe blades.
A bunch of the infantry for Khorne was just like, all right, so it's a normal Khorne, like Chaos Warrior Chosen, but they've taken their shirt off. So this makes them like so much more aggressive and so much cooler.
Yeah, but they're like the best of Skarmour, right? So Skarmour is like this tribe who just wants to fight stuff, and they never leave the north because everyone south of them are weaklings. So there's like fight stuff there, and the best of the Skarmour go into like the mountains, and then Khorne sends demons upon demons on them, and they just fight demons all day. And then they become like Wrathmongers and stuff like that eventually. So they're like the elite of the elite of the elites. So that's like the thematic of the Khorne side.
A group of men that have isolated themselves in the north and refuse to interact with anyone else because they think they're all weak.
Yeah, it's basically like the Jaws Vikings with Warhammer.
It's like the Manosphere, isn't it?
But, well, I mean, these dudes actually are useful though, and actually create like the real life skills. So I don't know. But
shirts off though.
But like the Jaws Vikings were also due to just like made of their own settlement, and they just trained to fight, and they were like the best at fighting, presumably. But they were like known fighters, so it's the same with these dudes.
That's cool, but it just feels like more infantry. I guess I could pick these guys, or I could pick Chosen. What am I going to pick? I like the fact that you do have. I'll tell you what, I did like the Blood Speaker, the new Lord for Khorne, because I think that's a nice sort of. It just fits a nice spot. He's kind of like a support hero, and I feel like he actually feels like a support lord. And he actually feels like a support lord because he's got abilities that kind of like supports his army rather than making him. He's a reasonably good fighter, but he won't win like against the proper melee lord. But he's got abilities that kind of work. Although I would say the first time I recruited one, I didn't realize that his heal ability actually damaged him, and I did actually manage to kill my own lord through.
Nice.
I tried to. He took damage, and I tried to heal him, but his heal does more damage to him than it does heal. So he took more damage, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I better heal him again." So I did that, and then I killed him.
Big brain.
I mean, everybody seems to like the Blood Speaker. They're cool. Also, he's like the pastor for the Skarmour and those dudes.
I think the units are very much like there were units that were needed, but they weren't necessarily the most exciting additions for the most part. Like especially the Greenskins, they got those infantry units are just like, I mean, they're good, but they're not exciting. They're pretty boring. Yeah.
I mean, the Black Orcs with shields, for example, are, I don't know, they never like performed that well in my campaigns. I don't know if it's what they were fighting or what the heck was happening. I was fighting Thorek most of the time, so like fighting against dwarves might have been like their weakness. But
Greenskins known for being terrible against the dwarves.
Yeah.
I think that there comes a certain point where you kind of go, well, I've got all the units it's things like the war wagons for the Empire, right, where they exist, but I never recruit them because why the fuck would I? The normal ones are terrible, and the ones with mortars, I'm kind of like, what's the point in having a mortar in a war wagon when they shoot in an arc anyway? I don't need to get them around the flank. When they shoot in an arc, I may as well just have mortars because they're cheaper.
I mean, those things are usually better versus a thinking opponent, so they do get better versus in multiplayer stuff like that. But like in single player now, like war wagons, aren't really that exciting when you can just have normal mortars and trick the dudes to go in there.
So I mean, there's sort of a level where you kind of go, do I really need orc boys with spears? No, not really. But it's, I guess, nice to have the option. And the same with Black Orcs with shields. Like, do I want them? No, I'm probably just going to take the guys with ludicrous amounts of weapon strength. But hey, at least I have that option if I want it. So
it didn't feel very in line with the Greenskin thing of, okay, just attack, no defend, we don't care. Attack as hard as possible. And instead you just drop all their attack and get a ridiculous amount of defense and a shield.
Yeah, I think Black Orcs by standard used to come with two-hand weapons, or maybe two-hand weapons. But I think they could be equipped with a shield.
They could switch.
Oh, they had that. Yeah, in later editions, they had the ability where they literally carried everything, didn't they? So you could basically equip them with whatever you wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, because Black Orcs are really are too proper to be proper orcs, so, as they say. So they take care of their equipment a lot. They're really good with morale and all that. They're like the best of the best fighters. So everybody's a little bit angry that they are units and not just, you can't just swap, because that would be neat. Have a little button. Boop.
Just like pull out a backpack. Sandwich, no. Umbrella.
Because in Pharaoh you have, and the Troy and stuff like that, you have stuff that could switch from like one-handed to two-handed and stuff like that, and switch weapon stances. So I mean, people wanted that as well, but apparently we can't have nice things.
I guess maybe because they don't switch between weapon types, they just switch between one hand and two hand. So I'm wondering whether it's like an engine limitation where you can't swap out a spear for a two-hand weapon, for example, because they're just not the same item in the unit.
It's so funny if they just like stuck out their arm like that, and then like the arm just faded away and it's like came a new one. Just like that. Boom. Both arms just all of them like 100 orcs just like that.
So lazy. Yeah. So there we go. DLC was meh. 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10.
Yes, well, I can't remember what I gave it already. I've already forgotten. But yeah, probably something in that ballpark.
Now, what are we hoping for next? So I would like to see Neferata, personally.
I mean, surely Slanesh is next. Slanesh was meant to be next. Isn't one of the rumor mills that this DLC took so long because they got like halfway into the Slanesh one and was like, oh shit, this is not good. We need to do something else.
I haven't heard anything from that rumor mill.
I don't recall where I saw it, but it seemed to... I don't know. Might just be in my dreams, my restless dreams. I see that DLC.
But they did have the roadmap, and Slanesh was clearly like the next one. But I mean, ironically, you need to have like pretty good balls to be able to do a Slanesh DLC, because you have to be a little bit more brave.
Just slap some tits on some snakes. Job done. Boff. That's all it is. It's all Slanesh is. Tits and snakes with tits. Just.
Hopefully we'll get
that. That with a response.
So, a nice one. If it wouldn't be vampires then, and Slanesh would be matched up with something else, what would you guys want?
I'm trying to think who makes sense for Slanesh.
Okay, so Neferata
doesn't need to make sense. None of them ever make sense.
Sexy. So Slanesh. So you need another sexy faction, and you can call it the sexy.
The dwarves.
I don't know, the sexy slides or whatever. So what's another sexy?
What's the K? Omens of Destruction. Sexy sliders? Question mark.
Ooh.
They're like, you.
Look, give the people what they want, and apparently that's snakes with tits. Who knew?
Checks Steam's new and trending 9 out of 10 hentai games. Like, well, he's not wrong.
Let's lean into it, boys.
I'm trying to think who's like a. Is there any other launch Warhammer 3 factions that haven't had anything yet? Demons of Chaos. Nah.
What, that they haven't added?
No, they haven't given a DLC to like Kislev's got one, Cathay's got one.
Yeah, I think they have. So I'd like to see another Warhammer. Maybe they could give. I think well, I mean, Norska would be an obvious one, right? If they could do the vampire counts and Norska in one DLC, I think. Boom.
That ain't happening.
No, obviously not. But we can dream.
It would be cool though to have like side packs for those things. It's like, yeah, you get this lord for them. And if you want the other ones, it's like you have to buy that pack, but you just get one lord for like Norska or those things. But those get reworked as well. Like printing money once again. These ideas. They just don't think about
vampire counts and a Norska rework at the same time is just asking to be disappointed.
No, Vampire Coast.
Ooh.
Vampire Coast, not Vampire Counts.
I don't know, probably just like one of the elves, either dark or high.
Darkers have got a lot of. I don't think the Darkers have got anyone left though. I think they've ticked off.
Oh no! They have a ton of characters. They can, for example, just add the captain of the Blackguards, for example. the one who kills. I probably shouldn't spoil that.
He's not really a legendary lord though. He's more of a hero.
Oh yeah, like Helm Mayonnaise and other ones, like the ones with what is lords and not is it such a weird one because it's like Ulrika, for example, hero or lord. Well, according to CA, hero. Lore-wise, she's a boyarina. That is a de facto. That is her title. She rules land.
No, she's more of a hero. Plus, you can't have more Kislev factions because if they all want the same 3 fucking cities, then Maybe they could rejig Ostankia, give her a proper final battle, and make her sexy. Sexy witch.
Norska would be cool though. I would like to see Norska.
Again, Fred not dignifying that with a response.
I just like trying to picture sexy Ostankia, and it's not for me.
Monster Serial with the finger on the pulse is like, it's like hag maxing, don't they?
I'm just saying, you got the MILFs, and then you got the little bit older, which I think are Gilfs, which is sort of what Hellebron? Yeah, Hellebron is.
Fun fact about Hellebron, she never gets like the perfect cauldron as well, so she always gets old as well, because when she's young, Marathi is jealous that she's prettier than her. Fun fact.
I think my favorite bit of the game show last year, speaking of which, I did want to do the game show this year, but because of the DLC, I just don't think we're going to be able to feasibly do it. Sorry, guys. But it was when it was the zoomed in picture thing, and immediately Samurai was like, that's Crone Hellbrand's tits. I know. So like a 1 pixel. He just nailed it.
He spent a long time in like really just drawing that in.
It's like me playing a Cloak and Dagger in the Marvel Rivals. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Okay, so what have we been playing? Obviously, you've been playing Marvel Rivals.
Yeah. Been playing
what is that? Is it like...
It's like Overwatch, but third person and Marvel.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I've been
a little bit more, no metas yet, so everyone's enjoying it.
Yeah. And then I've been playing Indiana Jones a little bit. Honestly,
Indiana Jones is really good.
Surprisingly good game. Doesn't innovate really, let's be honest, but it does what it's doing well.
I'd have to actually say that it's so it's really good that it's almost innovative, because like puzzles and stuff like that just are letting you do the puzzles if you want to. There's no like goddamn hints everywhere and stuff like that. It's just a good old fashioned, like super new, old bells and whistles, good early 2000s game or something.
Yeah, I think the thing that it succeeds at the most is you actually. This is so cringe to say, but you do actually feel like you're in one of the films.
Like Indiana Jones.
You feel like you're in one of the films because the performance is really good, the music's really good, all the punches have that like, you know, that snap, that like gunfire snap that they had back in the day. It's just so authentic, and it's good fun so far. I'm still
it's really fun.
I've heard it tapers off after the first area, but I'm still enjoying it.
It's apparently not super long either. I really need to play down.
20 hours, I think.
It's so funny as well when someone's coming in like, hey, you there? And you're like, oh yeah? And then like, hey, my way. Like, stop it. Just keep on doing that. Also, I had to explain this one to my chat, because this is like really funny thing. Since you're fighting actual fascists now, like the party fascists, right? In the Barbie movie, if you guys seen this, somebody goes up to Barbie, calls her like a fascist, and she starts crying and saying, but I don't control the trains. And that's like one of the funniest jokes in a goddamn movie that never gets explained. Because Mussolini had like the rumor that he might be bad in a lot of stuff, but at least he made the trains go on time. So when you're fighting the fascists, I only think of Barbie, because Barbie was made like 1948 or something. Like, so they were still around. So that's the only thing she knows about fascists, that they like make the trains go on time and like run the economy.
That was supposed to be a very good movie, actually.
It is really good, actually. Yeah, it's surprisingly dark.
What have you lads been playing? Jesus, this snot will just not leave me from this plague.
So I've played 2 things. The first I played is Path of Exile 2, which I'm very lukewarm on.
Oof.
Yeah, I know, because I really enjoyed Grim Dawn, and Inquisitor Martyr. Both of those were like, yeah, this is good shit. And then I had a desire, I had an urge to play some ARPG, and I thought, well, Path of Exile 2's just come out. I bet that I've heard that's really good. Like Path of Exile 1 was really good, so Path of Exile 2's got to be better. And I played it, and I was like, yeah.
Sparkle loot simulator.
Yeah, it just does. I don't know. There's just it just hasn't gripped me, and I don't know why, but I'm struggling with that one. I've also been playing Heart of the Machine, which is a weird game, but
was that the one that had the demo a while ago?
Yeah. So they've updated the demo because it was a bit. It's such a hard game to explain. It's kind of like playing a board game where you're playing Skynet, but kind of a Skynet with a conscience.
Oh yeah.
So
I remember trying this one. I couldn't understand it.
Yeah,
it's really hard. Yeah, it's really hard to get into.
It's one of those ones that I continually kind of bounce off of, and yet it compels me. Because, and I don't know why, but it's basically you're playing this sentient AI that sort of like becomes sentient, and you're in this futuristic city, and you start off as like one little robot, and you can move around. Here's like action points. You can move around the city, and you can like control other robots, and you kind of end up building a base. But you have to use your robots to sort of, you can build more robots, and then you can use those to do other things like attack or. It's weird as shit.
Yeah, it's really, really weird because I remember I was like standing in front of somebody like, hey, can I live with you in your apartment? And they're like, I don't know you. And then you just turn around, shoot a cop. And then he's like, is that a cat?
I'd be a different game. So this one is sort of.
I remember there were like the events. So it was like.
It's that kind of thing. It's like sort of at one point you find out that, you know, if you want to build your Black Tower of Sauron, which apparently you can do in a city and no one's going to worry too much about it. There's like all these homeless people, and you can decide what you want to do with them. And the option is, fuck it, I guess I'll build social housing then. Effectively, you turn into like an AI council to like house all the people, and then they're like, oh, but we're hungry. And you go, oh, fuck's sake, guys. Okay, I'll find you some food. So you sort of just end up caring for the poor people of the city, which is a weird thing for Skynet to do. But actually, I'm kind of like on board with that. I'm like, you know what? Rather than nuking everyone, maybe we just nuke the rich people. Maybe that's the better option. So I kind of feel like, yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of feel like, well, maybe this game is for me then. Maybe we can get round to like, you know, killing all the rich people, and I can give all the other people like nice social housing. Job done.
I'm just going to get that clip and send it to the government.
They'll never find me. No, they will. I'd never move, to be honest.
Fred?
I just played a little bit of Indiana Jones. Otherwise, I'm stuck in No Man's Sky again.
Oh.
The new expedition.
That again.
It's always something. I don't know. The new expedition was like hellish because they were like, yeah, find copper. And I was like, you always get stranded like a new randomly generated planets. And mine had like giant sandworms. They just swooped in constantly and acid rain every once in a while. So it was just the best. I had no copper. I literally like had like 1 hour, 40 minutes on my play file just looking for copper, just running around. And then when I finally found copper, with the sandworms that like make the sound constantly.
Yeah, are you sure you weren't playing Dune?
And then the next one would come up. So 1 hour, 40 minutes, like. And then you just like sit, then you just dig down because of the acid rain. You just sit there and you wait, and you just hear from overground. It just keeps on going. It's just the most awful shit ever. And then finally, it was just like, look at the planet. You like, goodbye, and you just fly out to space.
You're just playing there. Your wife comes. Are you okay? You're like, I can't find any fucking copper.
Yeah, I would be yeah, okay, I'll join and we'll watch that show in a bit. I was gonna try to look for some copper, and then after half an hour, like I couldn't find copper. Let's watch this.
Well, that sounds lots of. I do keep meaning to play that again because I did play it and I was like, oh, this is quite fun, and then I dropped it and never played it again. So
yeah, the expeditions are timed, so you can only like play for I think a week more or something.
Lame.
A lot of it, yeah, but you do get rewards for it, so that's something.
Right, should wrap this one up so you can go to your stream, Fred.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Thank you, folks. Let us know if you thought of the DLC, obviously.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's what YouTubers say.
Yeah.
Press that little bell!
Yes. Stroke the bell.
Are we doing one of these this year, or are we leaving it till next year? Because
do it next year. Can't be asked.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys don't want to do this once more this year for a yearly highlights?
We could do a New Year one, couldn't we? We could do a New Year one, maybe.
Yeah, and we just talk nonsense instead. It doesn't have to be a story. Well, I mean, more. We just talk about more about like what we've actually been doing and like yearly highlights for us all and stuff like this.
Okay.
Sounds good. Let's do that. Schedule it in for some time towards the end of the year once everyone's full of turkey.
Let's see if that gets made.
On Monday the 30th.
I could do Monday the 30th probably, unless my wife has scheduled something in, which she usually does and doesn't tell me until 3 minutes beforehand.
All right, bye everybody.
All right. Thanks for watching.